For those who don't know, The King of Fighters is a very popular but also very niche Japanese fighting game series. Recently, it's grown a fair bit more popular in the West, even re-releasing on PC, so it's not surprising to see a mobile tie-in. In fact, the massive roster of iconic characters, ranging from the titular king herself to crossover characters like Terry from Streets of Rage, seem like a perfect fit. Then you find out that this game is basically a hybrid of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes with Final Fantasy All the Bravest. Yeah, that went downhill very quickly, didn't it? Well, it gets worse. The King of Fighters 1998 Ultimate Match Online, which is a mouthful of a name, is possibly one of the busiest, yet least interesting games I reviewed thus far for this fine website. There is so much going on, with different upgrades, heroes to collect, abilities, a story mode in addition to PvP, and none of it is engaging. None of it. None of it grabs you. Not a single ounce of it. The game presents itself so opaquely through one of the most long-winded tutorials I've ever seen, never taking a breath to get you invested. The opening of the campaign mode is literally a finale of a story that, if you haven't heard it before, leaves you completely and utterly confused. What doesn't help matters is that it's painfully clear the developers do not have a good grasp of English translation. To be fair, mobile games and fighting games are both not typically known for good stories, but it doesn't help that there's nothing interesting in the narrative to get you on board, and a lot of the characters speak in broken English. Most of the time, I was just confused as to why I was even fighting certain characters, since, as I understood it, they were allies, at least by what I inferred from the text. Which is a bit like an archaeological dig, but you make do with what you can. When you do dive into battle, it's kind of a turn-based strategy game, but also sort of a rhythm game. Most of it's incredibly hands-off, with the biggest effort coming into team composition, timing your taps, and unleashing special powers. Except for a good stretch of the game's opening chapters, you basically don't need to care about any of these mechanics. Which means that you just tap the screen in sync with the rings over targeted enemies so that you can chain your attacks for maximum damage. Seriously, that's it. That's the base of the game. Watch tiny pixelated versions of iconic King of Fighters characters punch each other until one team falls over. There's no real strategy, no tension, and the game itself seems genuinely disinterested with itself. You face copy-pasted enemies that in theory have unique stats and strategies, but mostly they just use one unique attack if they need to. The boss fights are slightly more engaging, but never felt like a true test of skill while I just charged on through. To give you an idea of how little this game seems to care about what's going on, there's an energy charge system that, in theory, will limit how many missions you can go on. Except, I actually overfilled the charge meter just from playing missions regularly and breezing through. So either I was doing exceptionally well, or just no one thought to test this. I don't know if this changes in the late game, but if it's that easy to earn more energy, then why bother including it as a feature? I don't really see where you need to buy more. It's giving you too much. Also, obviously, there's cards to unlock and a currency, but the campaign kept handing me at least one new character every chapter, and to be honest, it was hard to distinguish what they could do other than the one girl being a healer. This isn't for lacking of trying to understand the mechanics either. In theory, you could spend money on loot boxes to get additional characters, but that'd be if the game allowed you access. Yeah, that's the other thing about King of Fighters 1998 Ultimate Match Online that doesn't so much match up. It likes to lock everything behind level caps. Some are reasonable, like limiting PvP play to players at level 14 and up. I can understand that makes sense for progression. Then there's eyebrow-raising ones that I'm not sure why they were implemented. Like locking off the storefront, but allowing for some of the freemium purchases to be available from the start. Most notably, the charges that you earn incredibly easily, that obviously you don't need to buy more of. Was there a plan with this game? Because it feels like it was designed by committee. There's no heart to it, no focus, no cohesive core for the rest of the experience to work around. It's like they realized that they could turn the King of Fighters license into a mobile game, paid someone to create assets, then at the last minute realized that they needed to figure out what that mobile game would actually be. There's a wealth of content and unlockables here if you like the gameplay, but I don't see this one clicking with most gamers. There are better options out there for your time. Don't believe me? Check out our other reviews. I guarantee you'll find something better than this.